That was the last thing I'm pretty sure everybody was wanting to hear, that Harvey's now become a Category 3 hurricane.
Yeah.
Nathan, can I ask Craig what's the latest recon information that he has?
Well, the
And I
latest
believe
recon,
central pressure is continuing to drop.
yeah, it dropped
And
quite a bit.
What's the latest pressure report?
The last drops on the walls 943 millibars, which the recon aircraft reported. But the recon aircraft just outside of the eye got 944, so God knows what it could be in the eye now.
Momentarily, we'll
Uh,
be getting an update from the National Hurricane Centre, who are issuing position updates hourly. At the 2 p.m. update, they said that they upgraded the storm to a Category 3. On that update, it said 120 mile an hour winds with higher gusts, and the pressure was 943 millibars. A wind gust of 57 miles an hour was observed at the Naval Air Station in Corpus Christi. A coastal observing site near Port Aransas has measured a sustained wind of 49 miles per hour with a gust of 60. A sustained wind of 59 miles an hour and a wind gust of 69 was recorded at Noah Boy 42020, located around 40 miles off the coast of Texas, and tide gauges near Corpus Christi indicate storm surge inundation of 1 to 2 feet is already occurring. And now we've just got the 3 p.m. update. Corpus Christi has recently reported the Naval Air Station a sustained wind of 53 miles an hour with a gust to 64, and a station at Aransas Pass run by the Texas Coastal Observing Network recently reported a sustained wind of 53 miles per hour with a gust to 68. So right now, the storm is at 27.4 north, 96.4 west as of 3 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 70 miles east-southeast of Corpus Christi, 70 miles south of Port O'Connor, 120 miles per hour, that's 195 kilometers per hour, and it's moving northwest at 10 miles per hour. Its minimum central pressure is 943. And you can see that reflected on Craig's screen there now as well. I think that's Craig or David, whoever it is.
and me.
Sorry.
yes, Dave.
And that is the current situation, and there's another view of it right now.
And Nathan, on the screen, I have the latest water levels, and it picks up on your comment about 1 to 2.5 feet above tide predictions. Water levels are rising. Winds continue to increase with several areas observing wind gusts of 30, upwards of 30 to 40 knots in the last few hours. Barometric pressure continues to fall across the region.
The tornado warning was
Nathan,
cancelled, by the way, from earlier.
Yeah, pretty much just downgraded to special marine warnings. But looking now, and also just to mention, 92L has gone up to 30% chance in the 48 hours and 50% chance in the next 5 days.
Oh dear.
Pretty much near the same statement as what yesterday was from the NHC, but just expecting some rough surf along the coast of Georgia and the Carolinas through early next week, and still flooding is possible over portions of southern and central Florida due to the system. Is due to the system's movement, but looking at Harvey, all I can say is I just do not know how to describe it. It's a weird storm, very very weird behaving storm. It looked like it wasn't actually going to get rid of its older eye, but it eventually did. But I tell you, it's I just I don't know how to describe it really. It's
We're showing the latest
not easy.
radar imagery on this screen here, and what are your thoughts on some really heavy rain bands moving through the Corpus Christi area right now, and areas along the coast besides.
Yeah, it's pretty hefty rain showers. These are pretty strong, bulky areas of rain. These are going to be really softening up the ground just to really help when the hurricane gets on land and starts dumping even more, causing even heavier flooding. And expecting well, doing probably what the National Weather Service and Hurricane Center expect to do. But obviously, this is not the worst of the storm yet. The worst of the storm is still offshore yet. The eye wall is still to come. But if you are riding out the storm, it's too late to evacuate. Just let's reiterate that. If you are riding out the storm, I wish you the best of luck. And there is another tornado warning has been issued for, what is it, Brazora? I don't know whether, Nathan, you could try and get any more information on that, because I don't know whether... Yeah, it's actually, there we go. It's just coming through. Southwestern Brazora County in southeastern Texas until 3:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 3:03 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Jones Creek or near Freeport, moving northwest at 20 miles per hour.
Tornado watches are in effect for the following Texas counties: Aransas, Chambers, Goliad, Jefferson, Victoria, Brazoria, Fort Bend, Harris, Matagorda, Wharton, Calhoun, Galveston, Jackson, and Refugio. I believe there may be some other areas as well, obviously coastal waters, and the Louisiana parishes of Cameron and Vermilion. So that is in effect right now, tornado watches, and there are also widespread areas of flood warnings, as you'd expect right now as well. I'll read out the most recent ones. The National Weather Service in Austin, San Antonio has issued a flood warning for the Blanco River, and a flood warning there. Let's see, the flood stage is 18 feet, minor flooding is forecast. The Colorado River, just trying to go through these, they're not written out particularly helpfully. The Garcetius Creek near Inez, affecting Victoria County, flood warning. Capano Creek near Refugio, affecting Aransas and Refugio counties, and plenty of other areas as well. And we'll read out any new ones that come up. But, it's pretty much a given that any river that you're near to, if you're in South Texas right now, is probably going to get flooded. I think there's not much else for me. I mean, obviously there's those flash flood watches, which are very wide in abundance, extending as far north, almost as far as Waco, and including Austin and San Antonio, I believe.
And yes, that's right. There are practically the whole southeast and south part of state of Texas is under warnings in effect, of course, and it's extending to the center as well. Actually, some of the warnings are extending even to the Williamson County, that is practically in the near center of the state of Texas, because of the rain bands and the potential of rain that can cause. And there are also thunder warnings, but practically a lot of warnings related of all the hurricane. I mean, the potential of tornadoes are there as well. Remember how many tornadoes that Ike and Hurricane Ivan did as well. So
here's some more imagery from GOES 16. This is up to date to around a delay time of only about 3 minutes. So the last image you're looking at is in that loop is just 3 minutes old. So this is pretty much right up to date. and you can see the storm's general movement in those last frames has been something like north-northwest. The National Hurricane Center says northwest. The radar would suggest that it's probably north-northwest or northwest, or in that general direction, and it's the inner eye wall looks like at this rate, when you look at this radar imagery, which covers around a 50-minute span, that the inner eye wall will probably reach Corpus Christi in about 2 or 3 hours minimum. Could be a little more, especially if the storm decides it's going to slow down.
And that's the worst case scenario, isn't it, for it to slow down? And what's the procedure? It normally intensifies when it slows down?
Well, not necessarily, but it's it's just going to cause all this flooding, isn't it?
Yes, and
well, I'll tell you what, it won't strengthen if it slows down, but it will weaken less quickly. I'll say that.
Which is the worst case scenario too, isn't it?
That is a possibility because, well, we hope it weakens as well before entering in land, because of well, we know that the whole rain situation, it will be a big concern right now, but it's always good that a storm weakens before making landfall, so the rain will be less as well. And if it moves slowly, maybe the storm could cause less damage as well. But this is not that. But well, how to say it? It's not that like it will happen, because of course it has its advantages and the disadvantages as well. Of the storm can stay in the Gulf of Mexico in these hours if it moves slowly than that is moving right now.
Yeah. So there we are again with the radar imagery, and you can see how some of these, in fact, if we could possibly move it towards the northeast or up the coast, then we can perhaps see what cells are causing the tornado warnings that have been occurring in sort of the Galveston area and further to the southwest as well. There you can see what's going on in the northern side of the storm. Less persistent rainfall by the looks of things, but what is in those clouds is some serious storminess, and a lot of it moving along the shore now. And Houston getting quite a bit of heavy rainfall there as well. In fact, a lot of that isn't too far away from the webcam at the top left-hand side of the screen, which looks like it's probably passed through an orange area, or is about to pass through an orange area on that radar scope.
Yeah, Nathan, just looking at the last few images, it looks like Harvey's moving back north-northwest. This is going to be, if it continues doing this is going to be very, very close to Corpus Christi, and I mean close. That's the eye that is, but the eye wall, Corpus Christi at the minute could get the eye wall of Harvey. That's not good either. Getting the hurricane in general, but getting the eye wall, that's the last thing you want. So that's because that's where the major hurricane force winds will be. That's where all the destructive winds will be, because those are the winds where that's the area where the most destructive winds will be. So it's going to be interesting to see how close this thing does get to Corpus.
And just look further north in the northern part of the storm there again on the satellite imagery. You can see some of those cloud tops flaring up as they come ashore as well. And if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, you can see that it's starting to become more prominent. That's going to be when the next radar scan comes out. It should show maybe some stronger rain bands.
Can you tell us anything about recon right now?
Let's actually have a look. It should be more than 10 minutes. In fact, it has. It's near 20 minutes since I got the last information. Let's have a look. Yes, they've done another pass through the eye, and it's gone down to 942.
And you know, I mean, gee, that's sort of the pressures it's almost pretty much the pressures we're looking at when Matthew was Category 5.
And the thing is, though,
Not that this
yesterday,
is.
yeah, obviously, and looking at the models yesterday, the models were pretty much the models are nearly enough right.
Yes, I was thinking about that earlier, Craig, and even
Still deepening. It's just outrageous.
yes, that
Oh, good grief! A lot of tropical storm force winds have been recorded.
Yep.
Kingsville, a gust of 41 knots has been recorded.
Yeah, well, as the National Hurricane Center said on their updates, you know, it's been, you know, in the 50s in some coastal areas in miles per hour. And I think the highest we had so far when I was reading it out earlier was 59.
Well, we just got another one of 57 knots just to the southeast of Corpus Christi, near basically down the coast, and then now they're starting to get damaging winds. Some trees have been blown over because of the winds, so power is already going out because of that. And then
Things not even there yet.
Yeah, Port Aransas at gust of 59 knots again. Portland.
That's the one, yeah, that gust, yeah. I think that's the highest gust so far.
Yeah, power poles are starting to get blown over in Portland, Fulton and Rockport, a gust of 50 knots, and far right up near Ostwell, a gust of 51 knots has been recorded.
Well, Craig and the Skype team, I'm just going to leave you hanging there for a few moments whilst I bring in Devon, who has been monitoring the storm as well. Devon, what are your thoughts on what's going on with Harvey right now?
Yes, well, Hurricane Harvey, it's really shocked me this early afternoon here with its bout of intensification very, very close to the Texas coastline. It's honestly caught me off guard. I thought that the storm would definitely be weakening as it got really close to the shore because you've got the shallow waters there. But clearly I have been wronged.
Well, it's what the NHC thought too.
Yeah, clearly I've been wronged. But hey, you know, no one's perfect. But one of the things that also caught me off guard is its extreme similarity to Typhoon Malheur all the way back in 2015, if you guys remember that. Where that storm also intensified very quickly from a Cat 2 to a Cat 4 in very, very shallow waters. This isn't a Cat 4 yet, not even close, but completed a very similar eye wall replacement cycle and ramped up very quickly in shallow waters. It just goes to show that these really tiny systems, they just don't play by the rules at all.
Well, and this one more so than most. When you look at the aircraft reconnaissance pressures that they're getting, how does this work right now? We're talking about 120 miles an hour when you've got a pressure that may well correspond with. Usually we're used to seeing that corresponding to Category 4 mid-range, maybe.
Category 4. Yeah. I believe 942 millibars, that was the pressure of Hurricane Charlie when that made landfall in Florida, and that was 150 miles an hour. Hurricane Matthew very well was either at or very close to Category 5 with a similar pressure as well. So you've got this storm that has this very low pressure, very small storm, but the winds are definitely nowhere even close to that strong. Maybe it's because of the land proximity, maybe it's because it's the shallowness of the coastline, but this storm seems to have a very, very low pressure for its strength. And I think the winds are finally starting to catch up.
Right. Along the coast, we just had in the last hour a gust of 69 miles an hour and sustained winds of 59 on land. Is that in line with your expectations?
That sounds to be about right with where this storm is and where it's coming into. Do you know where that was? Or was that in Corpus or?
Corpus Christi is in the 50s. I think it was just north of there. I can't quite remember now, but I think it must have been in that vicinity.
Yeah, according to radar right now, the western eye wall still seems to be the strongest part of the storm, and is probably where most, if not all, of the major hurricane force winds
will this
are
continue
ending
to
up in this storm.
Will this continue to defy the expectations and deepen until landfall now?
It's really tough to say. We'll see how it is when it gets close to land. Right now, I can't see it really gaining too much more intensity, but here it is dropping another 2 millibars. So it's quite possible that this thing will continue to gradually strengthen all the way to land. But
wow.
I take a look at the storm. The infrared imagery says the eye wall's not looking good. The radar imagery is saying that the eye is rain filled and foggy, which is typically a sign of weakening.
But that eye wall, the western side, still large areas of red in there.
Yeah, exactly. It just seems like this storm shows your usual signs of weakening, yet it just doesn't want to slow down at all. So this storm is probably going to maintain its intensity all the way into land if it's 120 miles an hour, which is extremely strong. And if there is 120 mile an hour winds with this storm, it's going to be in a very, very small area. The storm is extremely small. That can't be stressed enough. Now, if the storm keeps on going the way that it's going, there's a chance that Corpus might not even get sustained hurricane force winds.
How so?
Which would be lucky, but from what I've seen, it keeps on taking jogs up to the north, and west.
But I've got to tell you this right now: the eye temperature on the infrared imagery is the highest it's ever been, 11 Celsius above freezing.
Oh, the eye temperature is opened up to 11 now.
11, which is the highest during this storm's lifetime as well.
Yeah, that's got to be that is extremely impressive.
We can't show it to you on the imagery, we can only show the visible at the moment, but yeah, the eye temperature now 11 Celsius.
That is, and to let you guys know, anything that is above +9 degrees Celsius above freezing is considering to be extremely good. So to have an eye that's +11 is, well, once again, the satellite would then therefore say that
satellite defying the radar, but then
yeah,
usually radar is more accurate though.
Accurate, yeah. But the satellite throughout the storm's entire existence, the satellite seems to think that this thing has been stronger than it actually is. We were on air yesterday. The satellite made the storm look like a mid-range Category 2. Meanwhile, the storm was actually only, a mid-range 1. So, and it continues to be this way with the eye wall replacement cycle. If the eye is actually +11, it doesn't really matter what the cloud tops is. That would suggest at least a mid-range Category 3, if not a low-end 4.
And finally,
and the pressure would also go in line with that.
Finally, before we let you go, what is it on the CDPS scale right now that you've devised?
Yes. The Cyclone Destruction Potential Scale, which is basically a way of taking the wind, the size of the storm, and the forward motion of the storm, and combining that all into one number to try to get an idea of just how damaging a storm may be through a combination of wind damage and storm surge and all that stuff. And currently it would rank a very high-end stage 4 on the scale, which would be very, very, very significant. anything above a 3 has at least an 80% chance at becoming a billion-dollar disaster, and that's just in the landfall area.
Jeez.
And this is a high-end 4. If it slows down, even if it slows down 1 mile an hour, it would immediately be bumped into the stage 5 region and would start to put it into the degree of storms like Hurricane Irene at
Oh my
peak
God.
intensity while it was going through the Bahamas. I think that's the best analog to this storm
Really?
right
Wow.
now.
Well, there we have it. We'll see if you can come back a little bit later on, Devon, but thanks very much for that input.
Yep. Thank you very much for having me on. I'll continue to manage this storm from behind the scenes, and
Yeah, he'll be in the
try to keep in touch.
He'll be in the comments, of course. But thank you for that, and we'll be back. We're back with the Skype team. Everyone's all over the place, by the way, on our stream. But there we go. David's showing us something interesting right now. David, would you like to talk to us about this?
Nathan, this is being posted by the Texas Storm Chasers. Radial velocity radar out of Corpus Christi, Hurricane Harvey. Readings off the scale. Very rare to see this on NWS Doppler.
Wow. And that signalizes what?
Strong inflow and strong outflow of your own velocity. Red meaning outflow, green meaning inflow.
And as I've been looking in the last few minutes, even more flood warnings have been added to already a long list of flood warnings that are in effect over in Texas. The most recent ones have been issued. Is this up to date? I'm not sure this is actually up to date. But you know, it's pretty safe to assume that flood warnings, will be enforced pretty much any river and lake and stream that you encounter. Craig, tornado warnings, any new ones?
Yes, there is. There's
Yes.
another 2 tornado warnings, but I think these are the ones that I've read out, and these are still continued. Yeah, this is the one I read out earlier, so no further update on that, but those are the only 2 near Brazora. So that was the one I read out earlier, but those are the only tornado warnings. There are quite a lot of special marine warnings out in effect, mainly associated with Harvey. So this is no other special or no other events have happened with tropical storm force gusts or sustained winds or any further damage have been reported. Nothing so far.
And there's another radar view from Brownsville, but you might want to go one up there, David, to
I'm
find...
just wondering whether he's become stationary, Nathan.
Yeah.
No.
Looking at that imagery.
if you go to the Corpus Christi radar, which is the one above it, when you look at the directions,
So I'll just...
you'll probably find that it's still moving towards the northwest.
Yeah, it's still moving. It's not stalled.
Yeah, David Adams actually given a
it's-
record update to
Lee, what's the information, mate?
he says that the record is picking up category 4, winds of 130 miles an hour at the surface from Harvey.
Well,
Anyway.
we don't know at this point, but I'm
No, I
sure
know,
Craig
but
could take a look at that for us.
Right, so let me see if I can try and at least counter that. Because, to be honest, yes, Category 4 may not be out of the question, but it is running out of time. No Category 4 winds have been recorded as of yet.
Okay.
Oh, right. Oh, well, I don't know what Adams looked at then.
Yeah, but there is a delay between... Well, Craig, what's the
There
central
could be,
pressure?
because I know Adam looks at it professionally.
Is that NOAA 2 still going? Yes, that NOAA 2 is still going, but
Yes, they're
it's
still
recording
going.
more major hurricane force winds, but they've not done any more drop zones. The latest drop was 942 millibars from the AF307 mission. Just to let everybody know, that is the 19th mission into Harvey. and these are
Wow.
the only two.
19's missing. Well, that's
NOAA 2's mission, which is the 18th into Harvey, so that's still going, and an AF 306 is supposed to be taking off. It's not done anything yet, but I reckon that'll be scheduled to go in whilst when either NOAA 2 or the EF or AF 307 mission ends. So
what will confirm is one of the
mission 19. Mission 19.
One of the missions had to be cancelled due to one of the flights actually breaking down on the runway. Actually, so.
That might be a 306 because that's not updated in a long time.
Aye, well, that must be the one that broke down. Yeah. All the engines cut out. I couldn't believe that. I heard that.
Well, you'd rather have it doing it on the ground rather than...
Oh, well, thank goodness it was on the taxiway rather than in the air. So.
Well, more tornado warnings have been issued. Another tornado warning
Really?
is out in effect. The National Weather Service for central Matagorda County in southeastern Texas until 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 3:27 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Matagorda County, moving northwest at 45 miles per hour. That's the latest on that.
Okay, we're looking at the latest satellite imagery right now as it continues to move slowly towards the northwest or northwest, and the eye continues to become more apparent. And David, do you have any more news for us right now whilst I take a look at the latest eye temperature?
Not at this stage.
I pointed out earlier that the eye temperature was 11 Celsius above freezing now, and Devon signalled that that is, a very impressive sign from the storm's perspective. A higher temperature in the eye usually means a stronger storm, and to have a temperature of plus 11 is pretty remarkable given the storm's current standing. I believe the latest image has the temperature now at 10. Nope, 12. 12 Celsius now.
Nathan, I have some breaking news from the National Guard over there in the States. The personnel are now being deployed to Edna in Texas to help with preparation. So the National Guard has been called out and are now en route to Edna in Texas for preparations.
Yep, and again, we're just looking at it here on the radar, and it continues to already washing ashore with all those rain bands and significant rainfall not too far away from San Antonio already, by the way. If you're in Brownsville, looks like you're out of the woods pretty much, and other places right down there, McAllen. But then you get towards Corpus Christi, and that is... I do agree with what Devon said earlier, and the storm might just miss Corpus Christi a direct blow, but it will still cause heavy rainfall, obviously, and vast amounts of it, and strong winds. Already recording winds in the 50s mile per hour range in the Corpus Christi area. But it does look as though the storm might just pass to the east there, and the Corpus Christi area may be spared the inner eye wall, which will be packing winds of, well, the maximum sustained winds, which is officially at the moment 120 miles per hour.
Nathan, CNN Weather Centre is reporting that the various models are showing rainfall accumulation within the Houston region over the next 5 days in excess of 20 inches.
Well, as we often, when we take a look back at our graphic from the National Hurricane Center, indeed, The rainfall amounts are 20 inches in the area. And let's not forget, I've not read out the potential impacts, but just for those who aren't aware, we do always read them out. The potential impacts are like this. Harvey's expected to produce total rain accumulations of 15 to 25 inches and isolated maximum amounts of 35 inches. That's nearly 3 feet over the middle and upper Texas coast between now and Wednesday. During the same time period, Harvey's expected to produce total rain accumulations of 5 to 15 inches in far south Texas and the Texas Hill Country over through southwest and central Louisiana. Rainfall of this magnitude will cause catastrophic and life-threatening flooding, says the National Hurricane Center. As on top of that, you've got the storm surge of up to 12 feet for some areas. The National Hurricane Center expect between 6 and 12 feet of surge if this surge occurs at the time of high tide at the north entrance Padre Island National Seashore to Sargent and all points in between. I also often go through the wind probabilities, and I'm going to read some of those out again. The first number I read out will be the chances of tropical storm conditions, and the second number I read out will be the chances of hurricane conditions as of their last update. Brownsville 59.3, Harlingen 67.3, McAllen 53.1, Corpus Christi 99.60, Rockport 99.90, 90% chance of hurricane conditions there. Port O'Connor 99.55, Matagorda 99.23, High Island 49.3, Freeport 91.11, San Antonio 90% chance of tropical storm conditions, 9% chance of hurricane, Austin 78.4, Houston 75.3, Galveston 67.5, Port Arthur 38.1, and a few other locations as well in Louisiana. Cameron 32.1, Lake Charles 27% chance of tropical storm conditions and less than 1% chance of hurricane conditions there. But and another cause for concern, after the landfall, according to the National Hurricane Center's forecast, they think that the storm will remain a hurricane for another 24 hours after landfall. Inland as a hurricane for a full 24 hours. Which I think is balmy.
This is something I can believe, actually. I don't see, well, personally, I don't see possible that Harvey could stay as a hurricane inland for 24 hours completely. A storm without any kind of water, it means rapid in weakening and potential dissipation, but I don't know if there's a how is called that, a phenomena that makes that the storm could not doesn't lose its intensity so fast. Something like that happened with Bill back in 2015.
Yeah, Craig?
I think it's the brown ocean effect.
Brown ocean effect? What about it?
Yeah, I think it's the brown ocean effect that happens. I think.
Right. Someone asked about Waco, Texas, which is not included on the National Hurricane Center's wind speed probabilities. Don't know why. Not with the numbers, at least, but you can see it visually, and I think Waco is somewhere around the 30-40% range for tropical storm conditions, and obviously no chance of hurricane conditions there.
And Nathan, just referring to Waco, I believe the flood warning stretches right in as far as that location.
Pretty much. There's a flash flood watch that doesn't include Waco yet, as far as I'm aware, but you know, those watches and warnings will probably extend further north throughout this weekend.
I'm just looking at Harvey right now, and it goes 16 imagery, and by God, it's looking more impressive.
Well, if you missed it before, the The eye temperature is now up to plus 12 Celsius.
Good grief.
Anything from recon?
Nothing as of yet. The NOAA 2 is doing another pass through the eye. In fact, I think it's just done one, just missing the eye. So nothing as of yet, as far as I know.
Okay. Whilst I just try and get a new update on that very thing, there's some radar imagery again from David, I believe, showing you
So
the latest from
sorry,
Corpus Christi.
I'm just having another look. There we are.
And let's see if we can bring to you a new eye temperature update, which is what we're watching out for as trackers here as to whether the storm is intensifying or not. It's one of several indicators. And the eye temperature's gone down slightly now to 9 Celsius, well 10 Celsius, which is still high. And still a sign of at least a Category 3 storm.
Yeah, I'm just not going to read out ADT statistics because they are rather a bit silly.
Okay.
But just in case for any of them that are curious, it says raw T is 6.3 and maximum wind speeds are 130 miles an hour.
It could be right, you never know.
Yes.
I mean, we've probably seen
there's-
worse looking Category 4 storms than this. And the pressure's there to back it up, but as far as we know, not found the wind speeds confirmed yet. The National Hurricane Centre will be updating, of course, with one of their big updates in less than 20 minutes and possibly sooner, so we will be on top of that if they issue the update.
Nathan, is the NHC doing hourly updates?
Excuse me?
Is the NHC doing
Yeah, well, I just
a
said
3 hourly or 1 hourly?
They're doing 1 hourly updates. What they often do during these situations, it happened with Matthew, they give 1 hour updates for position updates and sometimes intensity updates like they did a few hours ago, and every 3 hours the intermediate update, and every 6 hours the full update, where they change the forecast cone. And one of those full updates, I think it is coming up. It is the full update that happens now, isn't it, Craig? Yeah, full update coming up in a few minutes' time. So everyone will be eager about that. That's where they change the forecast track and intensity.
Just to let you know, Nathan, Recon has apparently, and I'm going to look into this.
Okay.
But apparently they found Recon winds, flight level winds of 130 knots. Now, I'm not sure about that, but I'm going to look at. If that is the case...
Now, that's probably a minimal Category 4.
Probably.
No such word as minimal, but
if that is the case, Category 4 regardless.
Well, it has to be confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah, but if apparently
flight level
they
winds,
have found
the latest chart,
130 knots.
Yeah, but looking at the latest chart, they have found 150. What looks to be flight level winds they look to have had come close to 115 knots.
But well, these 130 knots are 1 minute sustained, or just like 10 seconds or 30 seconds?
Well, I'll wait until that update comes out, James, and I'll.
That's another good
soon
point.
To tell you. Because I'd imagine if it is that, it would be 10 seconds.
So maybe not quite Category 4 then, but perhaps 125
Maybe not
miles
quite.
an hour out of this.
But I'm sure we'll find out when the
Looks
next
like the
recon.
eye is expanding east to west in the latest frames.
Wouldn't surprise me because it's trying to get as much, trying to ramp up as much as it can before landfall in terms of convection, probably. But the eye wall is brand new, so it's pretty much anything's possible with Harvey still. But it looks like in the last few frames, Harvey's eye wall is expanding.
It's because
just to reiterate, this is a brand new eye wall, so it's not an eye wall replacement. It's just literally not a few hours ago. It literally just finished it, so it'll be still sorting itself out. in small,
And
fiddly little ways.
it's kind of like incredible seeing Harvey even more and more organized at every frame, even that is practically the half of the body of Harvey's actually inland, and Harvey still getting this its structure and getting more organized, and the eyes actually even clearing more up and getting more symmetric as well is something that it's
It's
something
rather
really
a lot.
concerning.
Yeah, but there is another blow up of convection on the western side, so and trying to wrap and looking like it's going to wrap around the entire eye. So as the eye is looking better in a few frames as that burst happens, but maybe we never know. But regardless of it, regardless of strength now, it is a major hurricane. It is going to make landfall, possibly as a Category 3, maybe stronger. Don't want to cause alarm, but there is that chance that it might not. But for now, it's looking like it might make landfall as a Category 3 hurricane.
All right. Well, again, we're looking at the radar imagery. And David, anything that you want to point out on that? Well, I guess not.
Sorry, I was just going to search for the Dublin Wind eye feature, but I would support
right,
the north.
Let's go somewhere else. We've got tornado warning. Central Galveston County in southeastern Texas, a new tornado warning till 4:15 p.m. So take cover in that area. The locations impacted include Galveston Island West End, Galveston Causeway, Texas City, Lamarck, Hitchcock, Galveston Pier 21, Bayou Vista, Tiki Island, Pelican Island, Schlitterbahn, Skulls Field, The Strand, Offutt's Bayou, Galveston Pleasure Pier, Moody Gardens, and San Leon. Tornado warning for all of those areas. Another tornado warning that was issued 7 minutes ago, in effect till 4 p.m. for central Matagorda County, and it was actually a severe thunderstorm located over South Texas nuclear plant moving northwest at 45 miles per hour. Take cover in that area. At 3:36, a tornado warning remained in effect until 3:45, so that's just going to be expiring now in southwestern Brazoria County. Those are the 3 tornado warnings that are currently in effect in Texas right now, and I do wonder whether we'll get any confirmed tornadoes as the evening goes on. And there's a close-up from the radar there of that area that is under those tornado warnings. If you've got any comments or questions for us whilst we're on the air, do send your messages in. Start your message with Force 13. There's quite a few questions already. Devon will answer the ones that we can't pick up. Questions about eye temperature, which we do measure quite often because along with the eye wall temperature, the eye temperature denotes can be a good indication of how strong a storm is, and a warmer eye temperature usually means a stronger storm. It means a clearer eye. It means less cloud cover over the eye, usually means better defined eyes, if they've got the cloud tops to back it, of course. And those are quite easily measurable from satellite imagery. The current time is 8:47 UTC, and at the moment, just briefly, Cesar, the only report of anything so far is a hail report in South Dakota, but that's nothing to do with this. Go ahead.
Yes, it's practically evident that the eye temperature relating with the structure of the storm and how really organized it is right now. And of course, the storm after eye replacement cycle, its eye is more big. The storm itself is more bigger. Actually, you can see in the last frames how it has been increasing its size actually. And of course, this opens the area, or well, makes the area of rain more like more big. More rain will fall as well, unfortunately.
The eye temperature is back to plus 12 Celsius.
Still pretty hot, I think, for a hurricane. I mean, 12 Celsius, it's high for a hurricane of its intensity, I must say. Well, it's practically evident how fast has Harvey intensified in the last few hours. Some rain bands as well, still affecting the southern part of Texas, the borderline Tamaulipas, Texas as well. The rain has not been that high or much, but of course, the storm structure itself covers that part. So it's practically kind of concerning how big is the storm getting after this eyeball replacement cycle that has in the last few hours.
Hello.
We're now joined by Marcel. Well, we were. So just to remind you that, okay, another tornado warning has been issued in southeastern Wharton County, south central Fort Bend County, southwestern Brazoria County, and north central Matagorda County until 4:15 Central Time. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado as of 2 minutes ago was located over Wild Peach Village or near Sweeney, moving northwest at 40 miles per hour. Locations impacted include West Columbia, Sweeney, Brazoria, Wild Peach Village, Bling, Iago, and Van Vleck. Take cover now in those areas, and don't forget there is a tornado warning that's still current over Galveston itself right now.
And one up into Louisiana.
Is there?
Yes.
Let's not forget there are tornado watches into the two westernmost counties in Louisiana. I don't see anything there yet, but there are bands heading in that could produce some tornado warnings. There are some special marine warnings, and who knows, there might be a tornado warning, but I've not seen it yet.
Nathan, tornado watch for portions of Louisiana and southeast Texas. Yeah, sorry, tornado watch until 2 a.m.
But there are several bands coming in that could produce potential tornadoes as well. So there could be tornado warnings in Louisiana soon. And people in the Lake Charles area, looks like there's a band that's coming through right now. Well, not right now, but say the next hour or so that might produce a lot of rainfall. Further east, there's already one through New Iberia by the looks of things, moving towards the north. And in those areas there are, I think those are coastal flood advisories that are in effect in those areas. But a lot going on, of course, across more than one state, after all. Louisiana will be seeing a lot of activity as well. And just in case it wasn't enough, there is a severe thunderstorm watch for northern Nebraska into southeastern South Dakota, and one or two severe thunderstorm warnings up there as well. The southern half of Florida is still under a flash flood watch. Large parts of California appear to be under excessive heat watches as well, and some heat advisories along the western coast of the US. So it's all going on at the moment as David treats us perhaps to some more infrared imagery.
Yes, I've just fired up my other computer so I can bring up some more graphics, and I'm working on a video of rainfall in one of the areas.
Yes. Oh my, that's a lot of noise over there somewhere. That's a double David there in the background. Luckily you didn't hear most of it.
Apology.
Out of the blue.
And I apologize.
Oh, two David
David's
again.
struggling with his audio over there. Wonderful. Well, hey, if you've got any questions for us right now, do send them in. And Strat tells us that Devon's told us that there's a drop zone that told us that there's 110 knots on the surface. Well, we'll wait until there's confirmation of that. The National Hurricane Centre
Nathan,
will be updating momentarily.
sorry about that, Nathan.
Great.
But I don't know whether we just wanted to have a. There's the first hiccup of the night, folks. I don't know whether we want to give Pakar a small mention.
Yeah.
Before the break.
There's not going to be a break.
I thought it was going to be one at the end of this hour. No, never mind. My mistake then. Tropical Storm Pakar has made landfall in Luzon as a tropical storm.
In the Philippines?
It has, yes, and has weakened down to 40 miles per hour, but is looking ready to leave Luzon and get into the South China Sea, where it is expected to intensify and possibly reach a Category 1 typhoon, making landfall in Japan. Japan? Where am I getting that from? For God's sake. See, that shows you how there's two bloopers.
China.
You meant Hong Kong, China.
Yes, thank you, James. Thank you.
So just a quick look there at Pakar right now.
Yeah, as a 75 mile per hour Category 1 typhoon. Now, if that does play out...
Got to cut across you, Craig. There's an update. The tropical storm warning has been discontinued south of Port Mansfield, Texas. The storm surge watch has been discontinued south of Port Mansfield, Texas. The government of Mexico has discontinued the tropical storm watch north of Boca de Raton. The rest of the warnings remain in effect. The storm has winds of 125 miles per hour at the update and is a Category 3. Still, 125 miles per hour winds and a pressure of 941 millibars. It's 60 miles east-southeast of Corpus Christi, 60 miles south of Port O'Connor. No extra warnings, but Harvey has intensified and is now on the verge of Category 4. It's a high-end Category 3 with winds of 125 miles per hour. That is the latest news. And it sort of matches what some people were saying about the recon flights.
But looking at the last few images of Harvey on Go 16, and the eye is just looking absolutely stunning. It's just getting better and better with every frame. Now that's alarming in its own right, because that's still possibly a sign that the storm could still be deepening. I don't know how, but I don't know by how much. But that still looks like the storm itself is still deepening as it's going in towards landfall. Wind speeds, I do not know. They might be increasing, they might not be, but I am willing to find out what the next recon estimate, or well, not estimate, but findings. But I know Devon did say that there was 110 knot drops on. Well, I'm just refreshing the recon page to see if there's anything anything new on that. Nothing yet from NOAA 2. NOAA AF307 has nothing new as of yet, but I think NOAA, either the AF307 is either finished or they'll be doing another pass. They might do a northern sector pass on Harvey, but nothing new as of yet.
Wow. And that's the view at Force 13 HQ right now. The current temperature here is 61 degrees, but nothing interesting to look at there in particular. And of course, all of the situation right now belongs over in Texas. And there is a view from the National Weather Service right now. Just repeat that, Craig.
trying to see if the NC page for me is just updated because it wasn't. Yeah, it has. They've gone with 125 miles per hour now.
125.
Yep, they've put it up to 110 knots. That is
Yeah.
what I'm seeing at the National Hurricane Center.
Yeah, that's it. Of course, indeed, they have just done that, and I'm trying to sort out my images here right now. They've broken a little bit. We'll come back to this view. That's not LaPorte, Texas. That LaPorte, Texas is somewhere else on the image. We'll get that back for you shortly. In any case, if you've just joined us, Harvey has intensified to 125 mile-an-hour winds. It's a strong Category 3 on the verge of Category 4 intensity, and Devon has just upgraded to Stage 5 on the CDPS scale that he created, which means that the potential for devastation has risen up yet another notch.
And that's obviously, well, the CDPS scale obviously is brand new. Well, would you call it brand new?
Relatively
new. Relatively new. For those that don't know, Nathan, I don't know whether you'd know anything, or somewhat anything about the CDPS, or whether Devon could explain in the live comments of how the CDPS scale works.
Yeah, well, Devon did talk about it